Welcome in the man of the hour, of the day, of the month, Bob Kravitz from The Athletic. It is his birthday. He just turned 40.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. 40 for the 23rd straight year.
23. All right. That is a great now.
Okay, do I need to help you do the math?
No, I was trying to think of looking at golf, see if you could. That's going to be a tough round.
Yeah. Oh, to shoot my age. Yeah. If I play 12 holes.
There you go. There you go.
That's smart. Yeah. Off the air, we were talking. Lil Rhodey having problems up in Rhode Island. 9-22 year after a couple of big boosters made things happen so they could make this deal happen. And now there's a mass exodus, a bunch of players leaving, all of his top scorers.
Well, when you're 9-22, you don't mind seeing guys walk out the door.
Most of the time, I would say that's true, but I'm going to guess that had he still been at Indiana, he was going to have guys leave. He was going to have Trace Jackson Davis leave. He would have had a mass exodus his last year here, and that would not have been the sentiment by Indiana fans.
No, absolutely not. So it was an interesting couple of days, huh? You got Purdue losing on Friday, IU losing on Saturday, IU women losing on Sunday. That's
all
depressing.
2 of the 3 are shockers. I didn't expect Indiana to lose, but I'm shocked that the Indiana women lost. Shocked that Purdue lost in the first round.
Right.
Not shocked that I expected them to get beat. That was just a matter of time, potentially in the second round. But Indiana, and it's just the way they played again. And I hate to say this, but am I alone? Did it just look like they just were getting outworked? And
they were. There's no doubt about it, guys. No doubt about
but you got a whole game to fix this, and I'm like, the same thing was happening, and it never got fixed.
No. I mean, this team has been a little. I mean, like every team, been a little up and down all year. You never quite knew what you were getting, but we're talking about 90% of the teams in college basketball. You don't quite know what you're getting unless you're one of those elite teams. And Purdue is one of those elite teams. And then they got completely outworked by FDU.
Now, see, I do not think that Purdue was an elite team.
Well, I mean, the fact that they won the Big Ten by 3 games and won the Big Ten tournament pretty handily suggests to me that they are. Look, there are no great teams in NCAA basketball this year, but I think you certainly have to put Purdue in the top 5 to 10, don't you?
They were tough to beat just because of Zach Edey.
Yeah, so
and they were beatable. And as you said, when you predicted Indiana would go further than they would in the tournament, was because you knew they were going to get beat because they had freshman guards that were not playing well. Right. And you just can't win if you don't have guard play. Look at Indiana. Indiana lost because of that.
The other thing, too, excuse me, is that center-dominated teams just don't go far in the NCAA tournament in this day and age. You got to go all the way back to Patrick Ewing in the mid-'80s with Georgetown to find a team that was center-centric, center-dominated, and won the whole thing. Just the game. The NBA game, the college game has changed. And it's all about guards and wings now.
And it brings up
that begs the question, what's next for Indiana? They're also going to lose. I was joking about Lil Rhodey losing half of his team, which is true. But Indiana has got people that they're going to be losing that we know of. And 3 senior starters that are going to have to be refilled. They have 2 guys coming in already, so there's one opening. But I put out a tweet yesterday, Bob, that I set the over and under. Originally, I set it at 6, but I'm like, okay, I've got to give a betting deal, so I made it at 5.5. So I put the over and under at 5.5 of new faces on the calendar next year for Indiana basketball.
Yeah, and you got to think this. I would think, I don't have any inside information, so I'm just throwing it out there. But I would think guys like Jordan Geronimo, people like that, who
he's one I'm on the fence about that I don't know.
Well, I think where transfer.
Huh?
Don't you think he's going to transfer at some point?
I would think that's the one that puts you over. That's the guy that I don't either. But Tamar Bates is the one I wonder about.
Right. There's another guy who he can go somewhere and do well. Maybe not at this level, but I could see him being a big scorer at a lower level. But
he's not ready.
Guys who come back, they need a major upgrade in the way they're playing basketball.
They need a major upgrade in the roster. They're going to have to hopefully, and they don't know if they're going to get Xavier back. That matters too.
Oh,
if
absolutely.
He can't come back, then that's another new face. Now you're looking at half of your team.
Right. Yeah, no, I think Purdue is in much better shape moving forward. Even if Zach Edey doesn't come back, I still think they can be a dominant team. They got some young guys, Berg and Hyde, coming on. They're going to be really good with or without Edey. IU has a chance to really hit the skids here for at least a year's time.
They do, but they have to hit the portal, Dustin.
Big time.
I mean, they have to hit it right. They have to hit some home runs, and they have not done that thus far, but they're going to have to do that this season without question, or they're going to do exactly what Bob said, hit the skids, because they've got to replace big men. They need wings. They need athleticism desperately. Man, oh man, do they need athleticism. And the Miami game didn't show that, but it's not just athleticism. There was some mentality, man. And that there was just too many times that Indiana, in my opinion, I'll just use the same language I've been using, just swelled up too much. They felt too good about themselves. Win a game, puff their chest out, walk around like a banty rooster, and then Miami kick them in the nuggets. It happened more than once. They beat Purdue. What happens after that? They come home, get blown out of Assembly Hall, ran off the floor. At the NCAA tournament, that one just bothers me, because I'm like, how do you not show up under those lights?
Can I just say too that I feel like part of the problem, and we talked about this earlier in the week, is that Indiana got no development. No, those guys on the bench got worse as the season went along. Malik Renew,
and they got no production from the bench in their last game.
In that game, he was supposed to be Trace Jackson Davis's backup. He was not good. Some people thought CJ Gunn might come in and make an impact. Maybe not 20 minutes a game, but 8 to 10, 10 to 12. He didn't play a lot. Tamar Bates was inconsistent as anybody you can imagine. Like, I still go back to the depth part of it. And when you say they got to hit the transfer portal, I don't disagree. But the problem with that is you also got to make sure those guys mesh. And because they're coming from different teams, different styles, just because you get some athletic guys doesn't mean it's going to mesh well. So you got to make sure that you're not just getting talent. You've got to get guys that are going to fit what you're trying to do. and whether Mike Woodson needs to adjust what he's trying to do on the offensive side, which I still don't really know what that is. Maybe Bob can shed some light on what he's trying to accomplish on the offensive side, but they're going to have to make some major adjustments if they want to be. And look, they were, I think for most of January, they were the team we thought they were. They just were so inconsistent in December and then in late February. There's potential there, but they've got to make some changes, not just with their roster, but I think with how they're playing.
Well, I think that Woody wants to play positionless basketball. I mean, but he came here and understood that he had a dominant, power forward / center / back to the basket guy in Trace. And I think in his heart of hearts, he'd rather not be playing two bigs, side by side, him and Ray. So
it should be better off.
Yeah. So I think we'll start to see as we move on more players in more of Woody's vision moving forward. But, he took over a team where Trace was the best player and you had to work around him.
Is it in Indiana's best interest, Indiana basketball's best interest, and I don't mean this in a negative way towards him, that the Trace Jackson Davis era is over? That they can start kind of a new.
No, I don't think it's ever a good thing to lose a guy who averages 20 points and 12 rebounds and 4 blocks. I mean,
yeah, but I mean, some of that was because they didn't have some of the things they needed.
Well, I mean, the shame of it is that you've got yourself a first team All-American, and you've got a point guard who is going to be a first-round draft pick, whether people believe it or not. He's going to go in the first round. And you could only get to the second round of the NCAA tournament. And that, is not a good reflection on where this program is at and where, and Woody. I mean, I think he's done – they've taken incremental steps forward. They got to the tournament last year, won the play-in game. They obviously got to the second round this year. So they're making incremental progress, but, they should have been better this year. I really feel that way. I thought
I agree with you. There's no reason that they actually did not win the Big Ten. Right. Now, looking back in hindsight, they gave it away. If you look at their losses, the loss at home to Northwestern, the loss to Penn State, just shouldn't have happened. And those games cost them the Big Ten championship. The Iowa game at Iowa, good Lord. That's 3 games right there.
But they're not an elite team. I mean, they're like I say, they're like 90% of the teams in this country that, you don't know what you're going to get from these kids day in and day out. And, look, Indiana for years has never been good at dealing with success. And why that is, I have no idea. I don't know if they all go to Kilroy's and, get lots of shots and are told how great they are. I don't know what the problem is, but they've never dealt well with success.
Well, and I feel like here's the thing to me. We're being hard on Indiana because of the expectation we have, right? But you look back,
being hard on Indiana. We're telling the truth. See, that's why people get misconceptions.
Time out. I understand that, but we're also. I mean, I'm not saying we're not being real. What I'm saying is, it sounds like we're being hard on Indiana because they had an expectation to win the Big Ten, right? At the same time, you can look at what Bob said, and that they beat Purdue twice this year. When was the last time they won a game at Mackey? 10 years ago. They got into the NCAA tournament as a 4 seed. They won a game in the NCAA tournament. I said this earlier. I understand that that's not like finishing 3rd in the Big Ten and getting knocked out in the second round is not what people want. I get it. But when you look back, from where this program was stuck in the mud for 4 years under Archie Miller, it's made not incredible, but it's made progress. You can see the future of this program heading in the right direction, and you just didn't get that. So that's why I'm saying I don't think we're being hard on because they did have expectations. They had great players. They should have been better. But whole picture, it's in a much better state now than it was just 2 years ago.
Oh, no,
well,
no
of course.
question.
But if Bob Kravitz was the coach, they'd be in a better state than they were 2 years ago. There's no doubt about that. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's going in the right direction. It just means it's better than being in the sewer. That's all. It means someone picked it up and took it out of the sewer. That doesn't mean it's still growing, though, is it?
Yeah.
They did not.
Well, I mean, look. We've seen a lot of progress these last 2 years, I believe. But
absolutely. Without question.
They're gonna reach a point in this next season. We don't know. I mean, this is going to be Woody's first gigantic. Well, not first test. I mean, the first test was getting Trace to stay 2 years ago. But I mean, this is going to be. We're going to find out what he's made of. Can he go out?
This is Woody's witching hour.
Exactly.